Hello and welcome to another SkaredCast video. I'm Skari, your grateful host. Today, we dive in to the ITC. Let's begin.
The Dark Kid.
Hello everybody and welcome to an ITC breakdown. Right now, as the world goes into a pandemic, there might not be a lot of events around you. So, in that sense, I, Skari, will be breaking down the ITC in depth. When we are able to do events and things again, you will be prepared to go out and play at a tournament. So, this is a video series where I will be breaking down the ITC mission by mission, secondary objective by secondary objective. And each of the different videos will have two parts. The first part will be available for free here on YouTube and other video services. The second part will be an exclusive Patreon video to thank all the Patreon subscribers who support what I do here on the channel. And that will go into a lot more detail and tactical analysis. With that, let's begin. ITC is a format of tournament gaming. It is a global tournament system that is designed to be easy to replicate from country to country, from tournament to tournament. It has rapidly grown in the last 5 or 6 years into something that is very well recognizable at an international level as a tournament level gameplay for Warhammer 40,000. Now, it is based around a very simple premise. The first rule of the ITC is you can literally do whatever you want. And a lot of people don't know this, but you can play a game or you can run an event with missions right out of the Warhammer 40,000 book and submit scores for ITC rankings. You can run a WTC format mission or a Maelstrom of War mission format for your tournament and submit the rankings for ITC rankings. So the ITC does provide a series of missions, championship missions and other missions that are very similar to different formats like Nova and things like that, that you can then put into practice. Now, a lot of tournament organizers will play the ITC Championship Missions, and because of that, this video series will dive into that format specifically and will break down what the ITC Championship Mission format is, as well as how it plays. So, how do you get started? Well, in order to get started with all the information that we're talking about, make sure that you go over to frontlinegaming.org. You can find the tab for the ITC tournament missions and format for 2020, and there will be a variety of links that you can get to the documents, download them, and read them. Anything from the Code of Conduct, which is a series of rules governing behavior at your events, the chess clock rules, if that's something that you want to get familiarized with, as well as the championship missions, which is what we will be discussing in depth in our video series. Of course, I put a link in the description down below so that you can quickly and easily find the championship missions and you can follow along with this tournament series. Now, what I'd like you to do is leave a comment down below if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about the ITC format or things that you think might be interesting for me to discuss as the series continues over time. And here we are at the Frontline Gaming website, frontlinegaming.org. So up here you have the ITC tab, and you click on the 40K and AOS tournament formats for that page. Here you have access to all the different documents. Of course, the link for this is down in the description below. But for this, we're going to be going and looking at the ITC Championship missions. And the Championship mission format is an open document for everybody to take a look at. It does get updated, especially when there are changes to the tournament format. So down here in the bottom, you can see that it says updated in red on the second month, 27/20 It's 2.0 beta. So this will change every once in a while. Just make sure that you have the most updated version. But here we have the mission guidelines. We have the pre-game deployment setup, which is, of course, if you're a tournament player, very important. Before any dice are rolled, players adjust and define terrain on the board, for example. That means that if you're not happy with the way the terrain is, you should really adjust it with your opponent, make sure it's fair and set up so that the game starts on a level playing field instead of it being skewed in one way or another. Then you have deployment and objectives. It explains how to measure distances between objectives, and then you roll off to see who is the attacker, who is the defender, etc. We'll be discussing this more in depth as the missions go themselves. But the format itself, there's rules for tabling and concession scoring. You have the very basic primary missions, which is kill something, hold something, which we'll explain a little bit more in depth. And then, of course, the secondary missions, which you can pick game to game. You have 15 total secondary objectives. You have 7 kill objectives, 7 maneuver and hold objectives, and old school, which is the traditional line breaker, warlord, first strike, and in this case, last strike as well. But you only get those points if you physically take that secondary mission. And all of these are very interesting. There's a whole strategy to which ones to pick, how to build your list around them, and how to get the most amount of points in order to win the game. Then you dive into the scenarios. Each scenario has a set way to place objectives and a bonus point, which you can get as you're playing. So not only are you trying to get a kill and a hold every turn, you're trying to get your secondary points, and you're trying to get bonus points. And at the end of the game, whoever has the most points wins. It does have all the score sheets, and there are a total of 6 main championship missions, which if you've been going to a lot of ITC events, you will know these pretty much by heart. However, for any of you who play a lot of WTC missions, who play a lot of book missions, this might be something new to you, which is great. So make sure you read this whole mission pack. It might seem a little complicated at first. However, down to its nitty-gritty, it's a very, very simple, very straightforward, very comprehensive mission format, and I highly recommend that you take a look at it. Now, that's all I have for you in this video. I hope that you found this useful as we dive into the way that the ITC mission format is structured. These are just some basics to get you started. The next video will start with a 2-part series. So the first part will be a complete comprehensive overview on the pre-game, all that whatnot. And the second part of the video, which will be available to Patreons, will be about picking your secondary missions, picking secondary objectives, and tips and tricks when it comes to that as well. So make sure you stay tuned for all that stuff. A huge shout out to all the Patreons. Thank you very much. And everybody who likes, shares, subscribes, clicks that little notification button, and just in general becomes a part of the Denizen community around the world. I have been Skari, your grateful host, signing off until next time. Skari out.